I'm going to note for the record, everyone's here. I'm going to ask everybody to stand and say the pledge. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the April the 4th meeting. The biggest note that I had is the one page was totally missing. It was added this afternoon. Are there any other changes, additions, or corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 4. Mr. Trable, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Jordan. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Presentations, none. Privilege of the floor. Mr. Zofko, you are up.
Erica, should I test it? Is it okay?
You're doing fine.
Hello?
There you go.
Hello? All right. We do some stand-up. Yeah. Okay, how's that? Is that good, you think? There, okay. Very good. Thank you very much for allowing me to be on your agenda tonight. What I'd like to talk to tonight is concerning the closure of the pool and also some, I guess, community interest things that we have. My address should be about 5 minutes. I won't take very much of your time. In my hand here, I have a list of petitions, which is a number of just south of 150 signatures, names and signatures that we took over the last week. Good song. That happens to me in movies sometimes. But anyway, so I'll submit these petitions. The petition actually has like two parts to it. Number one, it requests a rethink or the consideration of reopening the pool for this year. And the second issue is, as you did a poll earlier, maybe to redo the poll with a wider audience. Okay, I'll submit these to you. Again, there's 150 people that are interested in this. Basically, a lot of people were shocked by the decision. You know, we knew the poll was a problem, but I didn't think we were expecting necessarily a death sentence. Okay, maybe just a matter of a rethink, a replanning, etc. You know, however, I got to admit, I have to give the council credit for actually going out and trying to take the pulse of the community. You indeed did a poll. Kudos. Okay. The participation in that poll was lackluster, 250 people. Second thing, indeed, you had an open house meeting at St. Luke's Hospital. And although you probably expected a lot more people at that meeting, we essentially just had 19. I can't explain that. I was there, and I just thought there would have been more interest, you know, frankly, and more. But again, I think the expectation was they didn't think this was a terminal kind of situation. That's just my thinking of it. So the things that we have was, I guess the thing that probably put us mostly off was sort of the permanency, again, the death sentence of the pool. So I'm going to talk about why the pool is important. Well, it brings a sense of community to Fountain Hill. Frankly, it's the last vestige that we have of, in this hill, of generally age-independent public areas to meet. You know, not very long ago, we had a number of clubs and organizations in Fountain Hill, and I'll list them. It was the Legion, we had the Demis, we had the Republican Club, we had the Tall Cedars, we had the Host Company, we had the Beneficial Society, Benny's, and we also had the Exchange Club. None of those exist any longer, okay? So it's sort of hard to get involved in things anymore in this community. So it's more than I think it's more than just a material pool. It's a place that, rather than a place just to cool off. I think it could be a quality of life issue, and most especially an attraction to new residents or people considering moving into the hill. Now, no one's going to move into the Hill because we have a swimming pool, okay? No one's going to move into the Hill because we have a really good sports bar, okay? They're going to move into the Hill because it's a number of combinations of things, okay? That's something to offer to the people coming in. So it's an attraction. So we're trying to understand the problem. You know you guys aren't anti-pool, you're not anti-swimming, you're not anti-recreation. So let's get that right out of the gate, okay? You know, but I do believe, and from what we've seen of the tax rates and other things, there are money challenges, okay? I was on council 30 years ago. We pulled our hair out, as you can see, trying to find the different money and different funds that could be available to the borough. It was a crazy situation. I'm sure it didn't get better in the ensuing 30 years. My guess is that you probably spend most of your time trying to figure out how to get those ends to meet. We appreciate that, and we also understand that the pool is a loss leader entity. The pool probably hasn't made money since the very early 90s. And even then, it was sort of a break-even kind of thing. And we also understand that you need to get approximately $90,000 together to make the pool, I guess, viable again or up to date, at least so we can go in a status quo situation. We know you're in a tenuous situation, and I think, at least and I'm not sure I can say we, but I believe we understand the situation that you're in. So we also know that participation is off in Fountain Hill Pool. Okay, when I was a guard there and I was a kid there, it was almost standing room only in that pool to get. That's no longer the case from its heyday. And we need to make the pool viable again, and we also have to address and relieve your financial burdens. We shouldn't make this hard on the borough. There are more, I got to admit, there are more important things in the borough, for example, like public works and the police, and indeed the fire department. But we do believe we need to rethink. We're saying the council should accept real help from the borough populace. There are a lot of people in this borough who want to get involved, but they don't necessarily want to get on council, okay? Or they may not necessarily want to get in the planning commission or the zoning hearing board. But they may want to get involved in recreational pursuits, especially if we could put together programs. And therefore leave the council to address the day-to-day issues and burdens that they have and will continue to have. So we want to help, and we want to be at your service. Earlier at the meeting at the pool that we had, I proposed the idea of the Fountain Hill Eastern Salisbury Community Center. That's pretty much a vision I've had for many years, and this was an opportunity at least to present it, okay? And again, this might be something that we could consider. That committee would explore, promote, build, fund a community center that essentially be non-political, non-denominational, non-racial, blah, 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 okay, throughout. That would be essentially places that people of Fountain Hill could use. That community center would employ the pool, and most importantly, it's pool property. Okay, there's a lot of property there that we can use to do this community center. This community center would not be part of the burden of the municipality. I propose that committee and add to those goals the renovation and rejuvenation of the community swimming pool. It would be under its management. It would be instituting new programs. It would aid in its repair, its rededication, and also, very importantly, its funding. How you might add is, how would we do that? We would do that by independently using a nonprofit organization that we would form to go after grants, donations, a lot of sweat equity, and sponsorships. So here's our ask. Here's my ask, okay? Number one, that you rescind for now the death sentence for the pool. Second, authorize and recognize and partner with the committee, and also give us time to organize, okay? I don't need a lot of time, but we do need some time. If necessary, postpone the opening of the pool for this year. If you're strapped, it might be a staff problem, I guess we understand, but at least there might be a light at the end of the tunnel for us. And for now, and for temporarily, please help us with some maintenance issues, most notably mowing the lawn. And if that's not possible, I'll mow the lawn, okay? I have a really wonderful battery lawnmower that I can do a half acre at a time. Yeah, I'll eventually get there, but we need that kind of help. I and others are trying to bring back a vision for that community center with activities going from cradle to grave, and that would be completely age independent, that would essentially draw people to that community center. It would be athletics, there would be clubs, there'd be dramas, there'd be activities, and the pool in it would be part of that, a key part of that, and would be key. Now, exactly what would happen there, I'm not creative enough to tell you, but the Citizens Committee would be ones that would suggest different things that we could have and make those things work. We want to offer programs and servicings to our people and neighbors and attract what I'm going to be calling the right kind of people to Fountain Hill. And right kind of people means people who will participate in the community, care about the community, care about their properties, and be part of the community, no matter what age, race, sex, denomination, religion, whatever, which is not important here. And to stop, I guess, a de facto, inadvertent, new resident prevention program. We want people here. We want houses to be sold, okay? We want people moving in. We need to recycle our people as well. So, to recap, please rescind the permanent declaration of closing the pool. Give us a chance to help. We have a meeting scheduled in this room for May 12th at 7 o'clock. Through social media, we'll make things available. Maybe through a bill or a statement that you guys send out, you could probably help us with that. That would be very appreciated. Now, let me not be hypocritical, okay? I haven't been in that pool for 25 years, okay? And the only way I'll probably go back is if there's a program. I don't look as good in a bathing suit as I used to, okay? And so, therefore, it's not just this. My interest is in the community and the Citizens Committee's interest. The people I know that are interested in it want that. Fountain Hill's strength is not in its location. Yes, we have the strongest and bravest men. Yes, we have the smartest and most beautiful women. And yes, we have the most talented children. But our real strength in Fountain Hill has always been its sense of community. It's sort of like this crazy mix between Mayberry and Luxembourg, okay? Which is, you know, it's sort of small town, but there's a small town fight to it. I want to bring that back. I want the committee to bring that back. So it's really up to us. So please help us. And I'll leave you with one last thought, and I'm a science-oriented kind of guy. I've always been, and I worked in that. And one of the things that you learn, you know, your first year in college in physics is the statement, an object in motion tends to stay at motion, and an object at rest tends to stay at rest. I propose to you that let us help you, again, put the Fountain Hill community in motion. Thank you very much. By the way,
Thank you, Mr. Zofko.
do you have any questions for me? I'd be happy to answer them.
I don't think there's,
If not,
anybody?
I have no questions.
Ms. Johnson?
I have
No-
no
oh, no
questions, but I
question?
have a response that I would
All
like to.
right, Ms. Johnson?
Thank you very, very much, and I appreciate it. And I hear your call to rescind the vote, and I welcome it. I'd like to see it rescinded as well. I'm not sure that what we can do can be done for this summer. But a permanent closure is not something that I want to see. My understanding is that was at the at the recommendation of the Recreation Committee meeting that had been held prior to that. However, there was not a quorum of Recreation Committee members at that Recreation Committee meeting, so there could be no recommendation made. That's binding, and that's what I can say to that. We had a Recreation Committee meeting prior to this meeting at 5:30 today, and I brought up a number of community events that I would love to see happen, that I think your Citizens Committee could be involved with as well. So I welcome working with you as the head of the Recreation Committee, and I'd love your input. Thank you.
Thank you, and you're more than welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Dan.
Anybody else have a comment or have any questions?
I have one last thing to say.
Sure.
Again, in that meeting that we're going to be having on May 12th, I think you're going to know fairly quickly what the interest is in doing this. I mean, I have called meetings before in my life that I thought there would be great participation, and 3 people showed up, okay? It's going to need people. I certainly can't do this by myself, okay? So we'll also report back on what the attendance is and what the interest is at that time as well for you. So you'll have a temperature of where you can go and what the temperature of the borough is as well. Again, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vogus, I believe I saw some other people sign the sheet.
Yes,
Ms. Spadesha, you want to approach the microphone, please, and please give us your full name and address.
Deb Spadesha, 1034 Broadway. I just basically want to bring up something that my father had pointed out, which I had put on Facebook. Whether the pool stays there or whether you do something else with the pool, the Fountain Hill Post 406 Legion has been involved with the borough for a long time, and they've done many, many things to help the borough. And one of them, I'm going to read out of the book that I have of everything that the Legion has done. Under the borough swimming pool, the Post feels it is in a very large part responsible for the swimming pool being located at its present site. The Post bought this tract of approximately 5 acres on March 24th, 1946, with the idea in mind that a new Post home could be built there. The Recreation Board of Fountain Hill asked the Post to sell them the land for recreation purposes. On August 24th, 1948, the Post sold them the land with the agreement that it could never be used for anything but for the purpose of recreation. I want that to be noted so that if something else is put in there for the pool, instead of the pool, that area has to be used for recreation somehow. I speak for the spirit of the Legion and the spirit of my father, who could not be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Vogus, who else signed it? That was it? Okay. Anybody else wish to address council, this time only on an agenda item? Hearing and seeing none, we will move forward.
I have a quick question.
Oh, sure.
Why can't St. Luke's help with the pool? They don't pay taxes.
I don't know if they've been asked. I don't know what the Recreation Committee decided on that.
Here's why they're not involved in the community. And they're here, their main campus is here.
Last year, St. Luke's contribution, they run a fiscal year from June through June, or July, or July through June, rather. Last year, their contribution to the community purchased a brand-new fire truck that they're flowing water out of across the street. I'm sure they are looking for, actually, it was discussed in the recreation meeting, they're always looking for community projects. That is certainly an option if council so chooses. For the financial end of it, I don't think they're unfortunately able to help us with the staffing angle.
Yeah, but somebody, I mean, it just seems like they're part of this community, and then whether they, we need the fire truck, of course. But the pool is a huge part of this community. What are the children supposed to do during the summer? Where are they supposed to go?
I can say the hospital has been very good to us over the years with various donations.
But can we do something where they can help us with the pool?
Well, I'm sure that's being discussed. I think Mr. Gratz indicated that.
I think the balancing act that we all have to recognize is that, solving the fiscal issues is one angle of it, but using the community contribution from St. Luke's for a pool that we can't open because we can't staff it is a real consideration when weighing those balances. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just saying there's always those two facets to it of we sink $300,000 into a pool that we can't open because there's no one to work the pool, so.
All right, and can we please have your name and address for the record?
Ariana Ahud, at 1451 Deer Avenue.
Thank you.
And for the benefit of those of us who are watching online, if we can please use the microphone, because I get emails that people can't be heard.
It's not an agenda item, but let's stay on the pool. Let's not bifurcate this. You want to approach? And again, we need your name and address, please.
My name is Jason Brandon. I live 701 South Hufford Street. 701 South Hufford Street, Jason Brandon. Back to the staffing issues and stuff, we just need to try harder to get people to want to do the job. Like you were talking about, reaching out to elementary schools and middle schools and stuff. What about like college students that would want a job too? Plus just regular people too. It doesn't have to be school people and stuff. I mean, there's just a million things we can do to kind of keep this pool open. And we just have to exhaust all options. I mean, the people in the community need a pool. The kids need a pool. They need somewhere to go to kind of get together and stuff. They can't just sit in their basements all day, playing video games, shooting at the screen. There's nothing good that ever came out of that. They need a place to go to kind of, relax, de-stress, exercise, et cetera, et cetera. That's basically like the long and the short of it. And last time I was here, it was like said that the community doesn't care, and the community does care. I talked to a lot of people. We may only have 150 signatures in the past 2 weeks, and we have a lot more people here this week than we did 2 weeks ago. But that's just the beginning of it. We have to kind of build off of that. I know this all sounds corny, but we have to start somewhere. We got to build off of what we have now. 2 weeks ago, we had nothing. Now we have 150 signatures. We got people sitting here, and we just have to kind of just keep building off of that. We can't just give up. We can't give up. This is our community, our children. We can't give up. Over money, what's more important, kids or the money? You know what I mean? It's like the kids are more important. The kids are our future. Like I said, sounds corny, but tell me I'm wrong. So that's all. That's all I got to say. We just got to...
I think if you have, or anyone has tangible solutions to how to address the staffing crisis, myself, Hellertown, Allentown, Bethlehem, we're all ears.
But that's why we have to just keep talking about it. I mean, we
Tangible solutions, my friend.
I know.
We're all in it.
Answers.
I clearly don't either.
But together, we can figure out those answers. Sure. There's much more challenging things in this world that people figure out. We just have to figure out how to pay somebody to be a lifeguard. You know what I'm saying? So I know it sounds easy. It sounds, then go do it. I can't do it. I'm trying to get help from people, but we can't give up. We just can't give up. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon. Mr. Roof has a comment.
So I can speak very directly about the current staffing issue, not specifically for lifeguards, but it parallels a lot of what I'm involved in with hiring in the culinary field currently. I work with the community college, and I help to place our graduates in jobs. I talk to, on average, a dozen restaurants per day that are all looking for people, and there hasn't been a wave of people coming into the industry in the same way that there's a need for them that exists. And so we have a need right now for chefs out in the industry, and we graduate a ton of them, but we're not filling as many jobs as there are. It's the same parallel with the lifeguard situation. We can keep sending things around. We can keep upping the prices. We're not ever going to be able to compete with places like Dorney Park. they're going to pull as many lifeguards as they can because they can make money off of that. And I completely agree that it's an important part of our community. But at some point in time, you have to recognize that this is not an abstract concept. It's much more of a very, very traditional and concrete, problem that we have. There just simply aren't the lifeguards. It's not like, 50 cents more or like one more ad campaign and we'll get 9 lifeguards. We could put out a search right now. We would probably return 1, maybe 2, which is unacceptable. Last year was the same thing. The wages will keep going up, which I completely agree with your sentiment. If you're choosing between money and children's future, I would go children's future every time. It's a very, very simple concept. The issue is that sort of thing eventually is going to get to a point where same people in the audience today will be asking me why we're having a tax hike, or why are we doing this the way that we are, why aren't we spending things on potholes, why aren't we doing stuff with painting curbs? Eventually it all comes back to the fact that like right now, I think everyone's very, very passionate about this, and I completely agree it's an important part of the community. The issue is if there are not concrete ways to go about taking the variables out and putting in actual fixed things, there's not really going to be any way to move past this. So currently, if anyone knows where to get lifeguards, like you said, many municipalities are struggling to hire right now. Currently, Bethlehem's saying that they're going to open up all their pools. Everyone in the know knows for a fact that that's not going to happen. It's just not realistic. So I very, very much support your enthusiasm. I agree with all of your points, but I think that we need to have actual solutions in place. I would implore you, if you had any leads whatsoever, talk to Ms. Johnson, talk to Mr. Gratz. You can email anybody on council, and we'll read all ears about it. But there's just simply currently not the supply that we would need.
I understand. I'm working on it.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Corey, you have your hand up.
So now would be a good time to reiterate, since we have such an energetic audience, we're looking for or park staffing.
Yeah.
So that is something that we discussed at the Recreation Committee meeting. We did put out, we raised the salary for the park staff, and we have had absolutely no applications. None. If we don't have people to hire, we don't have a park program for the summer. We cannot open the playground and just have nobody there to run it. And that's a lot easier to maintain than the pool. So.
Where are they posting the jobs?
On the Borough website, on social media sites, on the Borough webpage.
And again, for the audience, would you please come to the mic and ask so our friends who are listening at home?
The question was, where is this being posted?
Yeah, so I will tell you that for the parks jobs currently, what Mr. Blatt said is correct. I will tell you that for another job search for a full-time professional position here, it was posted on Indeed and some of the other recruiter websites, and I would not categorize the applications as a levy. The job market is difficult right now.
All right, the young lady back there had her hand up, and again, I would ask you to use the microphone and give us please your name and address.
You also can certainly pass it on if you would like as well, just so someone uses it, please, because then I got to put my IT hat on when I get complaints.
My name is Brianna Warner. I'm at 1029 Cherokee Street. I guess my question was, what are you hiring for the Parks and Recreation? Because we all understand that, especially after COVID, it's hard to hire people. And in order to hire people, you have to offer compensation. You have to offer, people want time off. So what are you hiring at?
I don't remember the rates, but we can put them up.
20 and 15.
20 for the manager position, $20 an hour for the manager, and then 15 an hour for the staff under them. It is open from 6 to 9 in the evening. We'd also like to reopen the morning from 9 to 12. That's usually from the end of the school year till the beginning of the school year, about the end of August, but we'd like to be able to do what we used to do, which is May to mid-May, open in the evenings, and keep it open till about mid-September as well.
Okay, that's good to hear, because I think that's pretty fair, especially for those hours. I didn't know that that was posted anywhere, because that's something that I possibly would be interested in. But I would like to also say that, like, I really would like to see the pool stay. I understand that it is a financial issue. Everything is a financial issue, but where there's a will, there's a way. So I feel like there's a way that we can make it work. Definitely not this season, I completely understand that. But I would like to see in the future, maybe more people my age participate in these things and get the ball rolling.
Absolutely. So we do have recreation committee meetings. If you'd like to leave your name and email address, I can make sure that you're copied on when we have them.
I sure will. So I work evenings usually, so I was lucky enough to be able to get here today, because I'm at 70 hours a week myself. But, if taxes increase, I'm okay doing that, depending on what they are. I already work from home for one job, and I already have to pay these guys like 0.09% for that. So if I have to see a little bit more of an increase to keep the pool, I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you. This gentleman.
Good evening. My name's Tim Brown, 615 South Bergen Street. I understand, with your pool here that you're looking for money. And just doing a little back research. December 13th, 1994, Borough Council passed the $1 mil increase for the fire truck. That was supposed to be paid off. That $1 mil was supposed to be rescinded. At that time, the fire truck was only costing $259,000, reported in the morning call. Are you still taking that tax out of us? There's money there. If that money is there that you don't need for the fire truck, put that towards the pool. Later on this afternoon, I'm looking on Channel 69. They're reporting Whitehall Township got $320,000 to double their parking lot at the Iron Rail Trailhead parking lot, taking it from 36 parking places to 72, and they got $320,000 from the federal infrastructure law. So, and what about casino money? Do we get money from the casino? We're right aside of Bethlehem, and there's supposed to be money that comes out of the casino fund. Is there any money there that can go towards the pool? So I'm just looking at different things where money's at. Maybe we could jockey some money around here someplace and help the pool out.
If I could answer the first question, the fire tax is a dedicated tax. It has to be used for fire and fire-related equipment. We cannot legally divert that money to the pool. You're absolutely correct. The fire tax was instituted in the 90s to pay for the truck, to pay for the loan for the truck. And it's been voted on every year since. And it was decided, I believe, last year not to use the money exclusively for the truck, but for fire-related equipment also. So that's a source of funding for the fire department. With regard to the grants, there are always recreational grants out there. We apply for them whenever possible.
Mm-hmm.
With regard to, what was the final point you raised?
Oh, the casino money.
The casino money is very restricted, and we don't get anywhere near what we think our share should be.
Isn't that the wording in there to be used, for the borough and community?
So
It's still very restricted, and it's very restricted what we can use it for.
So the specifics to that is, prior to 2 years ago, local share money, which is what the casino gaming money is, was divvied out to the counties. Bethlehem is a very specific set of rules in the law because Bethlehem is a host community that happens to be in 2 counties.
Right.
They are the only case of that in the state. Long story short, the money used to go through community economic development in Lehigh County and Northampton County. That money now goes through state community economic development and is competitive across the state. This year, we submitted a local share application to fund the replacement of a cruiser car for the police, and attempted to justify that we are a contiguous community that is affected by the casino traffic. So, unfortunately, it is, I would agree with you that I think it muddies the water a little bit because it goes to the state. Now everyone has a stake in it, but those opportunities are out there, and you know, we continue to try and vie for those as well. I'm looking at the Whitehall grant now. That's a, you know, a federal infrastructure law passed through, so good for Whitehall. That's a good win there. Those also are very competitive.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of money just to macadam double a parking lot and put blacktop and,
Oh, they're putting a rain garden in
Yeah.
too and some other stuff. So,
you
but
know.
yeah, I mean, those federal infrastructure things, you know, small communities unfortunately suffered on those. A lot of the Class 3 cities, the Class 1 and the Class 2 cities in the state got direct payment through the federal infrastructure. The rest of this, you know, came down through, which is why Representative McNeil, who's also our rep,
Right.
Was able to get that for them. So you're right. There's tons of opportunities out there. That we continue, as Mr. Blatt said, we continue to monitor those, and we should sure try.
I know. I called and talked with the lady up at Jeannie McNeil's office, Damaris, and gave her my thoughts and things like that, and she said, and my name and phone number, and she said she would probably see if she could look into some stuff and maybe get back to me or whatever, and
Damaris is here every Friday as part of the satellite office, so I will see Damaris this Friday. She's a wonderful person, so.
okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing, hearing none, we're going to move on to draft resolutions to look at. Number 2022-19.
All right, so typically PennDOT requires a price adjustment of bituminous asphalt, I've been practicing that all day, in bid specs for over 100 ton. Due to the economy right now and the uncertainty of oil prices, the borough engineer is suggesting that we include it in our road projects for this year that will go out to bid, even though they don't meet that threshold, but we are likely to get more bidders for our project if that escalator clause is in there. So, if, you know, council's okay with that concept, it would then be placed on the May 2nd agenda for approval. And again, that would just be for calendar year 2022, and we would reevaluate in the future.
Anybody would have any questions or comments? Anybody against putting it on the agenda for May 2? Let's put it on the agenda, please.
I will make it happen.
All right, now, the next three items are the draft ordinances, number 863, 869, and 870. What are they about?
So these all came out of House and Ordinance. So do you want me to take it, Mr. Roof, or do you want to? Whichever's good for you. I'll see that if you want. You're more than welcome to. I'll just start off with the 863 has a lower number. This was in draft form for some time, but was never passed. So we reincarnated that, refreshed it, and moved it to House and Ordinance. And I'll let Mr. Roof talk about the three ordinance that are moved out of committee.
Sure, okay. So the first one is we would be amending our ordinance to include effectively smokeless products and vaping into our actual prohibited activities at the park. A lot of people were complaining that people were coming through with vapes and kind of making huge clouds around kids and whatnot. We thought it was really it's detrimental. The ordinance, it already exists for things like smoking and other smokeless products, but we wanted to make sure that we said very, very explicitly that vaping was part of that. As it should be, I think. Let me just keep moving on to other order. I'm a really cool guy. The next one is 869. That's an ordinance that would be amending some of the parking regulations. Currently, the ordinance states that the first time that these large trucks are cited for parking in places that they shouldn't be in the borough overnight or just for long periods of time, they're given a warning. However, our system with the police did not actually allow us to keep track of warnings, because warnings were effectively non-official. They were kind of just word of mouth. Now, the next guy comes on shift the next day, he would have no idea that someone gave him a warning yesterday, and it just kept happening and happening. So we changed the fee schedule to have a $25 fee for the first time, which we thought was pretty nominal, just to make sure that it was in the system, that they'd be able to track it. So repeat offenders would be able to get cited and kept track of, so that we don't have repeat offenders clogging up streets. Everyone's seen stuff around the borough, behind Wawa, a whole bunch of big trucks park everywhere. So that was for that to be put in place. And then the last one, 870, this one's the one that's the real exciting one. We had discussed amending and making more explicit our ordinances on lighting, and particularly in invasive lighting between properties. We had some issues in the borough where people were complaining about light hitting their properties from different angles. Our ordinance was specific, but it wasn't as explicit or as direct as we liked it. So it was more just to kind of tidy up some things, lay out some ground rules. We had previously discussed it at a council meeting. However, some of the abstracts, some of the measurements that they use, and obviously the term foot candle doesn't really make anyone say, oh yeah, I know what that is. So we tried to look for alternatives in the group, and we basically came up with nothing. Foot candle is the exact thing that we had to use. We talked to some lighting people, some electricians, and a foot candle is 1 lumen per square foot, and that's apparently the gold standard. So we finally agreed on the changes, and we'd like to get them implemented, and we look to vote on them next time.
All right, I have a question about 869, the fines. Are they the fines for the tickets, or are they, or are those fines imposed by the magistrate once the case gets sent there?
I'd have to actually defer that to Chief Bockert.
That's on the ticket.
That's on the ticket. So if I get a ticket and I don't pay it and it goes to an actual citation, it would be that fine plus the court costs? Okay. Okay. And those would be mandatory on the magistrate?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, anybody else have any questions on those 3 ordinances? Anybody object to authorizing Mr. Gratz to advertise those ordinances and putting them on the 5-2 agenda? All right, well, I see we have that coming up under action items, so we'll come back to that. All right, any other ordinances? All right, moving on, old business, recreational jobs advertised. Ms. Johnson, I believe you addressed that. Is there anything else you wish to add?
No, just maybe, if we have an Indeed account, can we advertise these on them?
We can, there's certainly, the Indeed costs rack up rather quickly, so I was trying to do the least expensive way at first, but yeah, I mean, that's the next step in this. And honestly, we've got a good crowd here and a viewing audience, so word of mouth. Feel free to direct folks to our website, to our Facebook page. They can call here at the borough. They can stop by. I seem to be always here. And I'm more than happy to talk to anyone about jobs. So that would be, again, any leads you have, please send them to me. My email is on the borough website. There's also a nice picture of my family that look way better than I do. So go take a look at my beautiful kids and send me an email. Thanks.
And we have someone here from the press. If we could get a plug in your column that we're looking for people, that would be helpful. All right, the next item is the zoning code enforcement hiring process. We had interviews the other day. I'm going to ask for an executive session tonight to discuss that and get some direction from council. That's all the old business. Discussion items, new business. St. Luke's University Health Network Community Contribution Ideas.
Yeah, again, just putting that out there, we discussed it a little bit in recreation, and some of the folks that asked direct questions during public comment. We are coming up on their new fiscal year. They traditionally look for things that share their vision for community. So certainly the pool could be one of them. The upgrades to the playground, fitness, those type of things for public health and welfare are definitely items on the table. So again, we should start brainstorming those sooner than later. And putting some ideas together.
All right, next item is we've discussed also pool partnerships for the 2022 season.
Yes, so both Hellertown and Allentown for Macpole on the south side, over by the Humane Society, for those who aren't familiar, at Mac and Dixon. They have agreed, Allentown in principle, and Hellertown has sent me a draft agreement that we have some legal concerns with. We might need to modify. But ultimately, the long and short of it is folks who are residents of the Borough of Fountain Hill would be able to purchase season passes. Allentown does an online thing where you verify residency, and they would sell it. Hellertown, we would do here at the Borough Hall. They would we would effectively charge residents what they are charging their residents. So you would pay for Hellertown, you would pay as if you were a Hellertown resident, and Allentown, you would pay as if you were an Allentown resident, and then the thought was that the subsidize the difference, which is what Hellertown does with Lower Saucon. So Lower Saucon pays the difference between the resident rate and the non-resident rate to Hellertown. So effectively, we would be giving our residents a resident rate, and again, this, depending on what everyone chooses to do with the pool, doesn't necessarily address the imminent situation in front of us for this year. These would be, one-year agreements, but it would give two viable options to folks who are, obviously have to travel but are looking to use the pool, and the borough would then subsidize some of that cost to make it affordable to them as residents.
Now, my question is, you have to buy a season pass, or can you go up to the window and just pay on a daily rate? Do we get the resident rate?
So dailies, my understanding is dailies are just dailies. Like if you go in, you pay a daily rate. I don't know that they differentiate dailies between resident and non-resident, but if they do, that's certainly something I can inquire. For Hellertown, they offer either season passes or like a pack of 8 day passes. So you could go 8 times, or you could bring 7 of your friends that we would sell in advance here, and you would pay the resident rate. Allentown, I know the online is for a season pass, and you would go, but they're also exploring options to sell bulk passes there in advance.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about that?
Now, the only concern that I have, that just I touch on the little bit of legal concern, is initially Hellertown had requested that we, as we're able and when needed, provide them some assistance with maintenance. So we would work something out with Mr. Quarry and the staff, and we'd send 2 guys down there for a day maybe to help them out. No one really has a problem with that in principle. I mean, we could certainly make that work. It's the nice thing to do. During our afternoon legal review, Mr. Berger and I, mainly Mr. Berger, voiced concerns that the fact that we would be caring for the property, whether or not we own it, opens us to potential liability from a injury or incident at their pool, even if it's not a resident, and even if we're not there, and even if this only lasts for a year, we could potentially 3 years from now, if they could tie back that the injury occurred to something that happened during this calendar year while we were involved in the care of the pool, we could potentially be held liable. So that definitely is a concern, and maybe we should look to consider, again, I put the agreement in your, I don't think I put it in your packets, but I'll provide it to you, but maybe we can look for some kind of idea of a capital cost sharing contribution to them based on the usage versus the manpower, because that does not incur any liability on the borough then.
Okay. The last item would be the Bethlehem Yard Waste Agreement.
Yes, so that should have been included in your packets. The Hellertown one just came in today, so it came in this morning, so that's why that was not included. But effectively, the short version of this is Bethlehem used to grind their own yard waste at their center. Their grinder has exceeded its life expectancy, and it is cost prohibitive for them to buy a new one. So they're going to do what a number of other municipal centers do, and hire someone to come in on like a quarterly basis to grind for them. Obviously, with that, there's a fixed cost that's incurred to them. So they had requested that we enter into a formal agreement, and then it's stipulated it would be $1,400 for year 1, $1,450 for year 2, and $1,500 for year 3. I'll be honest with you, it's a relatively nominal increase from what we were paying in the past, and we're not going to do any better going elsewhere and in engaging. And Bethlehem's been, this was very fair for us and Hanover Township, who also uses their facility. So my recommendation is, and the recommendation of Mr. Berger, who's already reviewed and edited this, is that, this, as long as council's in favor of it, we'd move favorably to put it on the agenda for execution on 5/2.
All right, my question is,
Question, oh,
is this simply a 3-year agreement?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the term would be 3 years. I'm sorry, I should have said that.
All right, now, Mr. Treble.
I have a question. Aren't they gonna collect yard waste with a regular garbage truck anymore?
I don't know what what do they pick up with, what does Republic pick up? That's why I'd have to look at what it is, but this would be for like larger stuff, like brush, sticks, those types of things, right? Jason, what do we normally take over there? If you could, microphone, yeah. Is this for leaves mostly?
So just repeat your direct question, please.
So the agreement that we're entering into with Bethlehem Recycling.
So that allows us to take our leaves and our recycling and brush that we collect from our parks and areas. That also allows us to purchase from them $15 or some denomination amounts for the citizens of Fountain Hill to be able to go over and use their recycling center.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. So the fee for cards at Borough Hall, which exists now, has not changed. Ultimately, what this does, yes, it provides Jason for when those guys do collections and whatnot to go over there and dispose of it as they have been in the past.
And one thing I do want to make clear is we do provide recycling cards that you can go over to the city of Bethlehem. You can purchase them here for, I'm not sure exactly how much it is, but you purchase that card and it allows you to go to the recycling center to drop off your debris, any leaf cleanup or small sticks and twigs and things of that nature. And to be very clear with you, we do not allow anyone to dump at our facility where we have our leaf pile at the top on Jeter Avenue.
The cost for the card is $20. And, yeah, and ultimately with us, what is it? 15. Oh, it's going to 20. I'm sorry, there is a $5 cost increase with this. It's 20.
And that's a one-time fee for the year?
Yes, $20 per year during the term. So that will not increase during the 3 years of this contract. So, and then you can go over and dispose of and also go there.
That would allow, I'm sorry, that would allow us to be able to pick up things like mulch and compost there too?
Yeah, that is my understanding.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Everybody in agreement that this should also be on the May 2nd agenda? Okay, would you please put it on the agenda?
I will.
All right, thank you. We have 2 action items. One is to formally authorize Mr. Grass to advertise the ordinances, the proposed ordinances, 863, 869, and 870. We've talked about that. Do I have a motion? Mr. Trable, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Johnson, any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Mr. Trable? Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Roof?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter? Yes. And I say yes. The next item for action is a formal motion to accept the resignation of Tristan Gambino from the Public Works Committee, or from the Public Works Department.
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Jordan, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Trabo?
I have a question. Wasn't this guy just recently hired?
Yeah, he resigned during his probationary. And we've subsequently, last meeting, we actually hired his replacement already. So we are fully staffed.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Trable? Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Roof?
Yes.
Mr. Trotter? Yes. And I vote yes. He is officially gone. Okay. Privilege of the floor. Anybody wish to address council on any item whatsoever?
I'll try something.
We would ask you to come up to the mic. We would need your name and address. And it will be your time to shine.
All right, thank you.
My name is Ron Goosley, 634 Lackalackie Avenue. Do I have to spell it for you?
No.
Okay.
I will say, sir, I'll call you next time I have to spell it, because I can't spell it.
I gotta spell it for everybody. I bought the house in 1975, so I'm here since 1975. I never came to a meeting or got involved at all. And I was talking to Jason, and he mentioned that somebody else had mentioned about a pickleball court in Fountain Hill. Now, there's a place in the park where the sand lot is that can be converted over to a pickleball court. Now, for most of you who do not know what pickleball is, it's a paddle with more like a wiffle ball over a net, and it's a smaller court than a tennis court. The people who invented pickleball, they couldn't call it paddle ball, but they had a dog named Pickles, and when they decided to name the sport, they named it after Pickles. So that'll throw you off. It has nothing to do with a pickle. Except when you lose 9-0, you get pickled. That's what it is. But look it up on YouTube what pickleball is. Goodbye. Anyway, the more mature crowd is playing this sport. I'm 73. And another friend of mine is 79 years old. My son is 47. We have to go up to Grange. Well, Bethlehem Township converted their tennis courts into pickleball courts. And all it was is the same net, but the lines are different. It's a lot smaller. And people like me, we don't have to run that much. But I go to Grange Park. They have 12 courts up there. Prater Park has 1 court. I'm not sure how many more are in Bethlehem, but Fountain Hill, all it would be is macadam, but you need a fence around it. And people can bring their own net to play the sport. So if you look it up, it's a heck of a good sport for the more mature people right at the park there, and for the youngers or anybody that she's shaking her head. You know what I'm talking about?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. But anyway, that's something that I would really like. And as far as people playing it, you would have nobody. You would have so many people want to play it. It would have to be organized, where you put your paddle on the fence. And that means that you're next to go in and join. In other words, somebody can hop on the court and just keep it for like 4 hours. So it's something that you have to share, especially if you only have 1 court. But my name is Ron Beasley, and thanks for letting me speak. And you'll see me again. I appreciate it. Should that have gone to the Recreation Committee, what I just said?
Yes. But it's okay.
Yes, but I'm here, and Phil's here, and Will's here, so we'll make note of it and put it on our list.
All right, thank you. I'm on television right now?
You will be.
Can I say hello to my granddaughter, Adriana? Hello.
Hold on, let me move the camera so it's focused on you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the information.
Thank you for your input. Anybody else wish to address council? Before I ask for a motion, to adjourn into executive session from which we will not be coming back, I want to invite everybody to our annual Arbor Day ceremony. I believe this year it's at the Dotson Ball Field, and it's at 1 o'clock on Friday, April the 29th. We are a tree city. We've been a tree city for 20-some-odd years now, and I'm very proud of that. And Arbor Day, as I posted not too long ago, was one of my favorite holidays of the year.
Yeah, April 29th, upper ball field, so the upper Dodson ball field, where the dugouts are in the building. And as soon as we're just finalizing the program, and then we'll have that out on social media.
Thank you. Now, I will entertain a motion to adjourn into I'm sorry, Jason.
Also, I believe opening day is this weekend.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes.
Opening day is Saturday, noon?
I'm not sure.
9 o'clock, I'm told.
What was that? Opening day for Little League.
For the Little League.
For Little League. Oh, okay. Saturday.
Chief Packard, you have something to say?
Just real quick, drug drop-off is April 30th, 10 o'clock to 2 p.m.
And that's here?
That's at our headquarters and at St. Luke's.
All
We
right.
posted it out in the borough.
Anybody have any expired medication? It's a great time to clean out your medicine cabinets. Here at the police station or down at the hospital, April the 30th, which I believe is a Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. Well, are there hours, Chief?
10 p.m. to 2 p.m.
10 to 2.
10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Don't flush them down the toilet, please. Okay. All right, I will again ask for a motion to adjourn into executive session from which we will not be coming back to discuss a personnel item. Mr. Trevor, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Ruff, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to ask the audience to leave and shut the door behind you. Thank you for coming out. Our next meeting is May 2nd, and you're all invited back.